Good evening and welcome to our workshop. Tonight we're talking about how to beat the winter blues. How this workshop works is that we're going to each take a turn sharing some ideas. At the end, there is an opportunity to stick around and chat with the doulas on the call tonight and learn more about our support in a private breakout room and have a chat with them. Um, we do have a smaller group tonight, so it'll be a little faster and able to get on with some holiday stuff, but we really appreciate you joining us. So we're going to dive right in and start with our doula, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. The topic within our topic that I chose to do tonight is I'm going to focus on the importance of nutrition to beat the winter blues in your postpartum phase. So I think, most of us know that what we are and are not eating on a daily basis can really affect our moods and our overall sense of well-being. Um, Furthermore, research has taught us that people who are nutritionally deficient can be more prone to depression and anxiety. So um, I think nutrition is a really good way to start off a healthy postpartum period. In North America, I feel that there's more of a focus on eating really healthy when you're pregnant, which I'm not dismissing that. That is incredibly important. But I think that there could also be special attention put towards what we're putting in our bodies after we've had our baby. And um, having been pregnant and then gone through with all of the changes that come with birth, not to mention maybe your baby is feeding from your body. So your body is making milk, which it's never done before. And that can be, leave a birthing parent feeling particularly depleted. So a good diet can be one of the cornerstones of a smooth recovery process. I think many cultures around the world have a pretty specific protocol around how a postpartum person should be eating. In some cultures, there's a focus on eating warming foods and drinks. Sometimes there's very specific, meals and elements to food that need to be taken in by a birthing parent. So if you're in that category, that is fantastic. You already have something kind of built in for you. If you don't, that's okay. I would recommend that a good use of time and potentially money could be speaking with a nutritionist prenatally so they can help you figure out a meal plan or some kind of a monthly, meal plan or a recipe plan to follow in the first, 6 weeks postpartum at least. And it would be great if it could be particularly like a postpartum nutritionist. That's a bonus. What's good about that, they can create like a balanced diet according to your lifestyle, your personal needs, and maybe any dietary restrictions that you might have. Another thing you can do is ask your doctor or your OB or midwife about any deficiencies that could potentially occur in the postpartum period. And I think that blood work is available postpartum sometimes if you wanted to know exactly what's happening with you. And then, implementing like specific vitamins and stuff like that can happen too, which is great. Prenatally, some other things that you can do to make sure that you have lots of food around you after you bring your baby home is planning for a meal shower, um, as a part of your baby shower or instead of a baby shower. So that's when people actually bring you meals, instead of gifts. And you could also do a meal train. There's a website for that that you can sign up for where people deliver, that people that you know sign up and they deliver homemade meals to you on dates, that you request. There's also, if you don't have people to do these things for you close by, I would highly recommend getting a meal subscription, something like HelloFresh or like really anything, just to make sure that you have easy access, to healthy meals. You should also think about prepping healthy snacks and filling your freezer with, options ahead of time while you're still pregnant and you have extra time. And lastly, this is an aspect of doula support that we, will offer. So if you have a postpartum doula and, there's time during a day shift, we can help you prep, um, some vegetables for you. We can chop up some ingredients, to make sure that you have some healthy snacks in the fridge. And that's one of the ways that doulas can help. So that is all I have for you. I hope that is helpful and good luck to you. Next is Sharon.
Hi, everybody. How are you? I'm Sharon. I'm a postpartum doula with Helping Hands, and I primarily do overnight shifts. And my topic to talk to you about today is getting out of the house. It's sometimes hard for us to look out the window and see it dark or a little dreary, to really want to get dressed, put on our coat and boots, dress up the baby, and get out of the house. But it is super important that you do get out of the house as much as possible. So my suggestions are, there's lots of different things that you can do to get out of the house. So just even going and walking through the mall is a great, just to get out and do some walking. You can go to different amusement things, the art gallery, the museum. If you can drive to Niagara, an amazing butterfly conservatory. There's also some gardens, indoor gardens that you can go to. And just treating yourself, getting yourself out of the house, whether it's just for a mani-pedi or meeting a friend for coffee. Try and book something every week that you look forward to. Doesn't matter of weather, but you really want to get out of the house because it just gets to be too comfy. Oh, I'll stay in my pajamas today. It looks cloudy out. So it really, really helps when you have a plan and you know what you're looking forward to, and just going and doing that. It really does perk you up and goes a long way. So those are my suggestions for tonight, just to get out of the house. Okay, and next we have Christie. She's going to talk to you.
There it is. Unmute. I don't know if you can see my face and see my lips moving, but I was talking about trying to unmute myself. All good. Thank you, Sharon. So I'm Christie. I'm a postpartum doula. I'm also a birth doula. I don't know if anybody's here interested in birth doula work today, but if you are, please feel free to ask me questions later. Yeah, so beating winter blues is, when they chose this topic, I had nothing to do it, but I felt a little bit convicted because this is something that's afflicted me my entire life. Every winter that I've spent in Canada, I've had issues with this. So it's always really good to hear the tips from other people as well. So thank you for that, my colleagues. My tip that I want to add, to give to you and remind myself, is get a bit of exercise and try to embrace outdoor activities. So we live in a country where there's really a lot of options, and maybe you don't like cold, but I feel like most people who don't like cold, they just haven't met the right outdoor clothing yet. So bundle yourself up, befriend skating or some other activity that is, maybe easy to access and easy to get into. Like you need a pair of skates, and skates are easily available. But even it doesn't have to be that serious. Just walking outdoors where there's nice scenery can be nice too. The idea behind getting outdoors is we don't get enough sunlight in the winter. That's why doctors always recommend every single baby that's born gets vitamin D drops, because breastfeeding parents are not able to guarantee that they're providing enough vitamin D to their children, because a large number of us are actually vitamin D deficient just by virtue of the fact that we live in Canada. So you can get yourself some more vitamin D just by getting out daily and getting like 15 minutes of actual direct sunlight on your skin. I know not so much skin's going to be exposed, but at least your face and your eyes a little bit. Other things throughout the years, I've learned to love snowboarding and skating. But some things maybe you haven't thought about, like snowshoeing, are also interesting activities, or cross-country skiing you can do here in the city if you take your cross-country skis to like a big park that has like what do you call them, like hiking trails in it. You can do that with cross-country skis as well, and it's actually a super fun activity that gets your heart rate up going a little bit. Now, this is all sort of keeping in mind that yes, maybe you all are also pregnant while you're doing this, or have a new baby. And so maybe you have to consider how to tag along a little baby with this, but you could get even little sleds for the baby, a sled maybe that has like a stroller push on it. So you're pushing the sled as opposed to pulling it. But you can also pull the sled while you're snowshoeing or something like that. In the early postpartum, it's not recommended to do a whole lot of physical activity. So for the first 6 weeks, you generally want to stay pretty close to home. But just getting out, maybe on your back porch, bundle yourself up and be outside for 10 or 15 minutes with a hot cup of tea or something, just to enjoy. And then later on, once you're past 6 weeks and you've been cleared by your care provider for activity again, start slow with like a walk around the neighborhood, look at the people's Christmas lights or whatever, or yeah, and then gradually ramp it up a little bit. So those are my tips for beating the winter blues. The winter's long here. There's a lot of time to get used to some new fun activity or discover what that is for you. So that's all I have to say about that. And coming up is Carla. Take it away, Carla.
Thank you. And I guess building a little bit too on what Christie was just talking about, baby carriers can be a really big help in getting out and about. Also builds on what Sharon was saying about getting out of the house. And there's lots of different kinds of baby carriers. So there are, stretchy wraps, there are woven wraps, there are also sort of the baby Bjorn types, there are buckles, snap ones like ergos, and parents can use these. Also support people can use them. So if grandma or grandpa are coming over, or a friend is coming over, it's easy enough for them to help out by wearing the baby as well. And they're a great way to get outside and not have to worry about fighting your stroller down a snow or icy covered sidewalk. Gives you both of your hands free. So if this is baby number 2 for you, it's also great because you've got your hands free to, hold a hand of your toddler, or, all of the things that you wipe runny noses and all of the things that we need to do as parents all the time. It keeps baby close. So, baby is warm and comfortable, and they tend to sleep when they're in a carrier, which is an extra added bonus. So, even if you're just wandering around, like Sharon was talking about, going to the ROM or, one of those places, chances are with your baby in a carrier, they're going to be sleepy. I would say that, you need to do some research All carriers are not created equal. So you want to make sure that the carrier that you are getting is one where the baby can be positioned properly in the carrier, particularly when they're still quite young. So they need to be able to have their knees up. They're sort of in that little curled up froggy position, fetal position, which is important for their hip development. And then when they're a bit bigger and their legs are out, they shouldn't be hanging. They need to be in a position where basically they're seated in the carrier. And there's lots of great retailers who can help you with that. They tend to be, the smaller stores where you can get baby stuff for baby, but also stuff for during pregnancy and postpartum. You can often try on the carriers, put your baby in them, see what it feels like, make sure that you're comfortable with using it before you spend the money on it. And a really good carrier can take you from newborn right on up to a toddler who would then be obviously on your back. And they can see the world from up there, and it makes it a lot easier when you're not having to worry about them running off in a crowd or something like that. There is a service in Toronto. There's one online store, but you can rent or you can borrow a carrier to try it out. And if you like it, then you get a discount and you can purchase it. And if you don't like it, then you can send it back and they will send you a different kind for you to try out. It is good, though, if possible, to go to the stores and to have someone show you how to use them properly. Wraps in particular, I think people find a little bit intimidating. You open it up and you've got this big, massive piece of material, but they can be very, very easy to use once you've had someone to kind of show you the ropes and you get used to it, and very comfortable and flexible. So yeah, it just helps you to do all those other things we were talking about, like getting out of the house and enjoying yourself and doing it hands-free. And you can get, actually, one last thing, you can get panels that you can put in your winter coats so that you can fit the baby on your chest. And those are good for any parent can find those panels that they can zip into their winter coat. That baby is nice and snug in there, and you don't have to worry about them getting cold. So, all right, that is wonderful. And I will pass it off to Amanda.
Thank you, everyone. I am speaking last, and I want to kind of tie all of the ideas everyone has shared together around probably why you're listening tonight, around doula support and how we can support you with all of those pieces. So having a doula, of course, Jessica mentioned in the nutrition sense, being able to make suggestions, but also help prep things and bring it to you and remind you to eat, which is something that people forget to do quite often in that postpartum world. Getting out of the house is a fantastic idea, but can sometimes be really overwhelming for some people in the sense of everything they need to take with them and what it's going to look like, and just the opportunity to do that. Your doula can join you. They can help you, they can go with you, or they can stay home and care for the baby while you go out for a short walk around the block, or taking a moment for yourself on the balcony or out on the porch to have that cup of tea in peace and maybe not have to worry about your little one, and breathe deep and enjoy the fresh air. Because one thing we know about cold air is that at least it's very fresh and feels good. Baby carriers, again, fantastic. I loved mine, especially by the time the third one rolled around and the older two needed to be out tobogganing and doing all of their fun winter things. Staying home wasn't as much of an option for me. So baby carrier inside of a coat was a great idea. And she is a large lover of winter and all things cold now. So it seemed to work out for her living in Canada. But in general, your doula can support you with anything, even if that's getting out of the house to go to a doctor's appointment, and doing all those things that are challenging in the first place, but maybe even more so when you're considering winter weather. The other piece I wanted to add to beating the winter blues is something that I did and did with my children when we were in lockdown during COVID, which was an idea of journaling. I am admittedly a terrible journaler. I do not like to write paragraphs and pages about my life, but I did find that sitting each day and starting my day with a cup of coffee, because I am a little crazy about my coffee, and just writing down 3 things I'm grateful for It made me feel good to start the day that way. But also, when a day was a little harder, flipping back and looking at the things that I was grateful for before actually made me start to feel a lot better about the day I was in. And with little ones, things can feel a little bit like a Groundhog Day where it's the same thing day in and day out. But if you get to go back and reread the 3 little things that happened that day, you'll realize there's been a lot of progress. And that's really reassuring and uplifting for everyone. And that can really help lift the mood when the sunshine won't come out until sometime in February, probably around Groundhog Day. So those are my tips. So doulas we think are great, and be grateful. Now we're going to move on to our breakout rooms. So how that works is we're going to set up a breakout room for each attendee. The doulas will rotate from room to room, so you don't have to do anything. Just sit tight in your room and the doulas will join you. We'll give a warning when the group that session is going to end, and then the doulas will move along and new doulas will join. You'll probably end up having conversations continued by the next person, but that's the fun of this. So sit tight and we will get started.